Hey y'all, this is Kasey Hope from Pizzazz, and we are here doing cute little Easter eggs today. There are so many different ways that you can decorate these, and we are just going to, since Easter is about Christ, we're doing a cross right in the center of ours. But once you really kind of get the gist of how we do this, you can have so many different designs. This might be one that you're wanting to do lots of different ways. So I'm excited to see these. So we are going to be painting with our neons again. So what we are using today is our watercolor paper, pencil and eraser, a Sharpie or any type of permanent pen. Any kind of watercolor will work. We're using our neons, paintbrush, and water cup. So let's get rolling. Now, if you are a mom to younger kids, one thing that you may want to do is cut out a shape for them and let them trace it. Because sometimes, I mean, it's even hard for me to do a good oval sometimes. So that's just one little idea that you might want to do to let them still feel like they're doing it, but they have a guideline to do it with. So here we go. We're going to put this right here in the middle. All right, so we are going to start with the grass. And let me time out before I get rolling. I'm going to show you how to do this. Somebody says, does it matter what kind of paint to use? It doesn't really matter, except for you want the paint to match the paper. So like if you're using watercolors, use watercolor paper, if that makes sense. If you are using copy paper, don't use paint on it at all. Just use crayons or markers or colored pencils. So it does not matter what you do to fill this color in, but you want to make sure that you're using the right paper with it. Once you know how to make these, you can take a piece of paper and cut it down and make little miniatures, because I don't know what Easter egg hunting is going to look like this year. And so one thing I thought is, what if I drew these and let the kids paint a lot of them? And I mean, it might be an Easter egg hunt around the house. Or maybe they can do these and write sweet notes around the back, and we could the whole family leave little notes to each other, and we have to go around finding the eggs that belong to us. I don't know. I'm just trying to brainstorm different ways to make this a little bit of a fun Easter, because it's just different this year. So that's just one little idea. You can take the drawing that we are going to show you how to do and make them into some miniatures to paint and to hide these little Easter eggs all around the house. Okay, so here we go with our pencil. Let's see. For the grass, I'm going to start with the grass. I don't start too low, okay, because I want there to be a decent amount of grass. So I'm going to come, like when I say a decent amount, I just don't want it to be this little bitty sliver. I want to come up just about right here. Let me move all this over, and I'm just gonna kind of do angles. Okay, so like those are just lines. I mean, you could go up and down, up and down, up and down. Sometimes I go to the left, sometimes to the right, sometimes a U. Like, it's just very haphazard lines. It does not come all the way to the bottom. It's just a line that goes from here to here, and it's crooked. It's a little jagged line. All right. Next up, we are going to do the oval, the big oval. All right. So this is, all right. That's gonna have to work. It is hard to get a perfect oval, and I'm not gonna worry about it. Okay. So now that you've got the shape, these are the main two shapes. You could do this lots of different ways. So again, let me show you. This is just curved lines, 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom, name in the middle. This one is kind of smiley lines, polka dots, name in the middle. This one, curved lines, or swervy lines, curved lines, circle. So you can really do whatever you want to do, but I'm going to be showing you how we did the featured one right here. Okay, so first of all, I'm not going to try to draw the cross boxy without having a little bit of a guideline first, okay? Because it's just hard. So I'm going to do my guideline, a very light cross. And I know I'm gonna erase this. This is kind of what we call the skeleton, okay? We're gonna erase it. We're gonna put the meat on there, and then we'll erase it. So now, after I've done that, then I can come around it a little bit thicker. Okay, and I can erase that right there in the middle. And that's a lot easier than trying to draw it without having that kind of guideline. I should have drawn a little bit lighter. Or maybe it's this eraser. I think my eraser is dirty. Oh well. Okay, then next up, we're gonna just kind of put another border around this. You don't want it to be too terribly close, because if it's too close to it, it's gonna be hard to paint in. Okay. Now from here, we are going to do, and I'll show you what I was thinking. You don't, at first sight, you don't really notice this, but I was trying to have this almost look like rays coming out of the cross, and it doesn't, it kind of looks like that, but not, at first glance it might not, but that was my inspiration for doing it like this. So I'm gonna do a line going up and then down, side to side. And then I'll do, like, if this is the center, I'll do one coming up this way and this way. And then, pretend again this is the center, coming down. Here's my center, and down. And one more, because we got a lot of space right here. And yours might not, okay? So you might not have as many little lines as I do. You can have them however you want to. But one thing that I do is I try to kind of have them all coming from that center point. All right, let's see here. So now I'm going to make these lines a little bit thicker also, because I want to paint them in a color. So I'm just gonna come right beside it. Do some parallel lines. My third grader has been working with some parallel lines with his schooling. Oh. So here we go. Okay, now from here, you've got all these different sections. You could have fun doing a lot of different designs. So you could do zigzags and swirls and dots and stripes. And I'm trying to think of some other different, you could do chevrons, you could do patterns of dots and stripes, and there's lots of different things you could do. Sometimes that can get to be a little bit overwhelming if you're not careful. So I'm just going to show you some keeping just 2 designs throughout the whole thing. It still looks kind of busy, but it's just going to be 2 designs. So I'm going to go with polka dots first. All right, so I'm just going to start anywhere. Now I'm going to do my polka dots. A lot of times I'm doing these half polka dots if it's kind of a skinny area. Then I'll skip a space and I'll come over here. Now here, I have room in the middle to do some dots too. So just polka dots and half dots. Then I'll skip this space, come over here. Skip this space, come here. Now, if you start to do this, and I've done this plenty of times, and let's say we skip this space, and it's gonna work out perfectly, but what if it ended up where you didn't have the right amount of sections and they're back to back? Well, if that happens, I usually just add another little section in to make it work, okay? So don't think that you have to erase this if you get around to, or you just change that design too, so no big deal. All right, so here we go. We're doing our little half polka dots and full polka dots. And there we've got half of our egg design already done. And then after this, I like just to do some swirls. So like one way you could think of it is some really exaggerated S's or C's. Do y'all see how that's an S kind of on its side? And that's kind of a C, but it's just really curvy. And then just a few extra little curves. So you could do S's. Here comes a backwards S. Do you see that? It's not something that really looks like an S, but it's the way that your brain thinks about it that helps you to make it like an S. Here we'll do another S. And then a really curvy C, and then just little lines. You could do some that start out doing loops and then just keep going. All right, so these are really just fun. Just fun little curvy lines that you really can't mess up on. Just do some curves. All right, and that is going to complete the actual drawing. So next up, you're gonna get your permanent marker and start tracing everything. And remember, when you trace, it does not have to be exactly on the pencil line, because you can always come back and erase. So we're going to just start tracing everything. I'm going to put just another layer of lines kind of in here. So I would love to hear, how are y'all going to make Easter special this year? We, like I said, you know, we've had the idea about the little eggs, hiding the eggs and writing names around. I really want my husband, he has a sound system in the back of his vehicle, and I really want him to just play praise music and for the neighbors to come outside at their driveways, but we're not sure if we can do that or not, or if we'll get some like loud ordinance call or something. But I really want to do it. I want people just to come outside and the boom boom car and be playing praise music, because we're just used to corporately worshiping, especially during Easter time. I saw something today that said, it was a cute little art piece, and it said, the church may be empty, but so is the grave. I thought it was really cute. Oh, if we had time to make something like that, that'd be fun too. And here is a fun fact for any kiddos watching this. Easter is the whole reason that we have church on Sundays. So in the Bible, when it talks about the Sabbath, that's Saturday. But when Christ rose on a Sunday, from there on out, Christians would use that as their day of worship. So that's why the Sabbath refers to one day, but we celebrate church. Well, not celebrate church. We go to church on Sundays. Okay, so I'm just doing the quick little circles. Okay, and then next up is going to be the swirlies. And again, to me, this goes a lot smoother if you just kind of go quick. If you go too slow, it looks shaky. So I would rather go quick, and maybe it's not right on the line, no big deal, we can just come erase that later. Plus, it's just more fun. It's more fun just to whoop, 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 just like that. Okay, so we've got all of that. So now, if you want to take your eraser, if you did a lot and you're really you've got lots of little lines showing, just take you an eraser. Make sure that it's not an eraser that makes a ton of marks. Like mine kind of made a mark right there because it wasn't clean. But if your eraser makes a lot of eraser marks, then it's better just not to erase. You know what I'm saying? So if you've got a good eraser that's not going to make a bunch of marks, and if you have a lot of lines that that you'd rather get off, you've got to get them off before you paint, because once you paint, that's going to kind of seal it in there. You cannot erase after you've painted, unless it's a spot that the paint's not on. But if the paint's on top of something, it's going to seal it in there. So now it's time for the painting. All right, so I'm going to use my big brush and my smaller brush. And again, I like to use brushes that are separate. I think that might come with a brush, but I usually always just like to use different brushes. Just because I like a little bit bigger brushes than the ones that come in the packs. All right, so I'm gonna add in my neon green. I'm gonna do that quickly. If you have two different brushes, the way that you decide when to use what is basically on how big of an area you're painting. So if you're painting a larger area, you're going to want to use a larger brush. If you're painting small little areas, you paint smaller brush. So I'm just quickly getting this in. Now I'm going to, on top of this, do a little bit of blue. And that might sound crazy, but green is made up of yellow and blue. So by adding blue into the green, it's just gonna look like a darker green. I mean, it will have a blue tint to it, but it's going to be okay because that's the same color family. You wouldn't want to throw something in here that was a completely different color family, but since we know that green is made up of yellow and blue, we can totally put some blue in there to get a kind of a darker green. Just little strokes. All right, next up, I'm going to clean that brush. Now I'm going to go to some of my yellows. So I'll do my cross with my bright yellow. And again, you never have to do the same colors that I'm doing. I'm here to guide you and to get you started, but we love it when you have tons of different creativity, from the colors that you use to the designs that you do. You know, y'all are rocking it. We have just been blown away by how many awesome things y'all are creating. All right, so we got that. So now let's see. I will get my pink. Goodness, I love this pink. Love it, love it. It's so bright. And like in the sections that are just the swirlies, I'm just gonna paint them one color. You could paint them different colors, but there's so much going on already that I don't think it has to have multiple colors right here. Some of that's kind of blending into it, but no big deal. One good thing about these neons, they have a pigment that will even paint on black. So like we have these little black construction paper, or not construction paper, but these black sketchbooks, and they even paint on that. They're not as bright because they have a black undertone, but they are bright though. They show up. They have heavy pigment, whereas some watercolors would just kind of sink into the black paper. These will show up on top of them, so it's kind of cool. I'm just doing the whole section. And again, if you were just tuning in, I said this earlier, but we do have these neons coming back to us. Finally, we've been out of stock. Our supplier was shut down. I really don't know how they're able to ship, but they are, because they're in California, but they sent us a thing that said they are. All right. So next I'm going to do the purple. I was about to swap to my smaller brush, but I don't have to quite do that just yet. So I'm just going to go around the dots. And what I will probably do is, after I do all these purple backgrounds, is I'll probably do the swirls in this background and then come back to the dots. Notice that you do not have to get right up to it. It's okay to leave a little bit of white around this. I'm trying not to get too terribly close, because I know that once I put the other color on there, if they're both wet, they're gonna bleed together, which it's not the end of the world if they do, but I'm gonna try to avoid that if I can. So just kind of getting in some of these places. Also, we have seen some awesome job by our kids club this week. We will highlight one of our rock stars, but we've been posting a lot of their pictures on the page too. And I've had some people ask, is it too late to jump into the kids club? And the answer is no. We've only done 1 week, so they've gotten one main lesson and one bonus lesson. So that is something that you can easily get caught up on. So if you have not signed up for the kids club and you want to be, you totally still can be, because we are not too far into things. And this is just relaxing. I hope that some of y'all have found just the benefits of what creating does. Like, it's so hard to explain until you actually experience it, but it really does. If you will let go of perfectionism and just enjoy the process, it really does just calm your mind and soul so much. There's so much science that tells you that, but sometimes until you really experience it, it's hard to fully understand and to believe, but it does. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry a little bit and then go to my background. Now you could do whatever you wanted to in your background. I'm going to do the swirls. So I'm going to start with blue and just start doing big swirls. Sometimes it might be like half swirls or curves, but just all in my background. I don't want to paint my background a solid color because there's so much color going on here that if I do a ton of solid color, you might lose the egg. You know what I'm saying? Like, there might be so much color, unless it was a like all yellow or something really light to where this stood out. If you do too much color in the background and you have a lot of color here and you don't have any white space or anything, sometimes that can really, you can lose your egg. And what I mean by that is not like really lose it, but your eye can lose it. Okay, your eye can't focus on what they're supposed to be looking at because there's so many colors. So that's one of the reasons we are choosing to keep that background mostly white, but then to throw in just a little bit of fun color. So now with the yellow, I'm not doing the swirls. I'm just kind of going in some of these spaces around what I've already got. So just kind of filling things in just for one extra layer of color. All right, and then I'm going to swap brushes. And so now I'm going to do my border around the cross. And honestly, you don't have to do that. With there being so much other color, it would be fine to leave that white. Let me get a small brush. So do you see how swapping brushes to this smaller brush is pretty beneficial? This is a small little area to have been doing with a big brush. Okay, and then we've got my polka dots, and then we are done. Now, when you are finished, please remember one little tip about watercolors is you're going to want to leave it flat for a little bit, because you've got these little puddles of water, and if you pick it up and if you're like so excited, like look what I did, and you pick it up and show everybody, what might happen is all of a sudden you might have a puddle right here and it drips over everything. So you don't want that, okay? So just be careful when you're done with this. I know you're gonna be so proud of it and everybody does want to see it, but let it be flat for just a little bit, because otherwise all this work and you might get a big old drip down the middle. Now let's just pretend like that you did. What could you do? You know, we've talked about being positive and making beautiful oops. So we don't want to make an oops, but if we do, if it happens to be a drip, you can probably figure out a way to make that drip look like you meant to do it. Whether it's adding more drips on there or splattering the background, I don't know. Y'all can be creative with it. Okay. So that is that, y'all. So just some easy ways to draw, then use your permanent marker, then use your paint. And again, this is a fun big version, but you can also take those watercolor cards, cut them down, draw some little miniature ones, and paint those and put those all around the house and have your own self a little egg hunt. Write some notes on the back if you want to. So like maybe I would do maybe like 10 for my daughter and 10 for my son, and just have different things all on the back written to them. And if they found the one that's for my son, well, he has to keep looking, because I mean, I'm sorry, if he finds the one for Chloe, he has to keep looking until he finds all his little eggs with his affirming words or sweet little notes on it. So anyway, just a thought, but I would love to see what y'all create. Be sure to post it in the pics. All right, y'all, have fun. See ya.